So in all of these illnesses, whether it is cancer, diabetes, what is that one single thing that you advise most of your patients, clients?
I observe most of us are lacking in our protein intake. So this is one of the causative reasons where the cell is not fed with the right type of a food. So being Indians per se, we are more of carb eaters. Okay, so that's also where the whole journey begins, where that little of ill health, diabetes or high glycemic index food is what is our food, our staple food.
Hmm.
Okay, weight. So we are one of the two top rated overweight people that we see. And yeah, so I feel protein deficiency is something that I see big time here. And to my experience, yes, the moment I just calculate a person's diet properly, the correct protein intake itself is the biggest solution for every illness. Every illness. I have seen these results come up, and one little right move can bring a world of a difference in your health. So I want to
Wow.
bring that news to people that we got to pay a little extra attention. Yeah.
So during these COVID times, Jennifer, what changes have you seen, and how do you build this? Is protein a good option, or is there anything else that you recommend?
Yeah, if we talk about the COVID times, yes, immunity was the most commonly used word around the globe. And yes, immunity, if the doubtful thing here is people may not even be able to define what is the right immunity. Correct. So over here, other than diet, yes, there were just shortcuts given to all of us where people were asked to consume vitamin C tablets, hydrate themselves. However, during the COVID days, what has happened is, yes, the immunity, as I said, first thing I observed, we all are protein deficit. Okay. So being protein deficit, obviously makes you more prone towards having a lower immunity, because that's one way to build up your immunity as well. Okay, so here during the COVID times, yes, I saw that people were quite weak to handle this. Okay, at the same time, gradually we built an immunity, we got used to it. Apart from that, I think stress was too much. Right, there was too much of a stress that was happening in COVID days. Ill health, fear because we did not know where we'll get more susceptible towards this illness. And the biggest question, how to handle it. So however, that phase was well handled, and now we are coped enough to handle this also. But again, where we lack paying attention is post COVID care.
How does one then do the weight loss? Would be interesting to see what you suggest us.
So, firstly, yes, as I initially said, immunity stays on mind, very important over here. So, even when we look forward, now I see many people who intend having, losing weight, but at the same time, they'll end up growing weak. Okay, they drop in stamina levels. They face hair fall. They do face, aging effects very quickly. So the skin wrinkling off or looking pale enough. So all these kind of effects begin with weight loss. Okay, that's exactly where people are more concerned. That is this a healthy weight loss? So here the question arises that whatever we talk about today, is this going to be a healthier way? Okay, or is going to bring you some other kind of effects, right? So that is the most commonly seen concern that people do have. However, when I said immunity is essential, and then I spoke about a little of protein, which is a very big fact. Okay, so here during weight loss, so I would say the first thing to talk about is protein correction again. First thing to correct it. Okay, the moment protein correction is done, so let me give this quick tip. On an average, you guys can consider this, that if we consider approximately around a 60 kgs standard weight, okay, for an individual. Okay, 60 kgs. So we have to all learn to calculate it on an approximation of minimum 0.8 to 1 gram, okay, just to be healthy. Now, this is nothing to do with your muscle building or anything of that sort. Whether you hit a gym or you don't go to a gym, you still need protein to be healthy. Okay, so point number one towards weight loss is protein correction. Okay, so if you're around 60 kgs around, make sure you're at least consuming approximately 45 to 50 grams, okay, to even 60 grams of protein. You get that? So that will bring you to an average of 0.8 to 1 gram per kg weight. Whatever is your weight, try to come closer to those grammage. Now, I'm sure there's a little technical thing. That's where dietitians help you calculate. Okay, but let me make it a little easier. We should have one serving of protein. So round about, you will reach your goal of protein intake. Okay, so that's like your tip. For example, your breakfast. So we need to make sure, there is some protein over there. For the vegetarians, it's more of maybe a cup of milk along, or non-vegetarians, 2 egg whites. So this way, and then there is a lunch that we have. So over there, uh, curd, sprouts, all the pulses that we have, non-veg food that we have, chicken, fish, egg white. So this is like, what I'm trying to say is, with all the meals that you consume, try to focus on the protein bowl of yours. Is your protein bowl on to your plate? That is important. So that will make sure you will fulfill an average requirement for the body. What I see is, moreover, when I do my calculations, it is very difficult to find that a person is even consuming beyond 15 to 20 grams of protein. So just imagine if the body weight is 60 and somebody is just consuming 20 grams. Now, protein is like food for cell, and cells is what our body is made up of. So if we're not feeding the cells with the right food, then I'm doing something drastically wrong to my body. Okay,
Right.
and that is the reason we see more diabetic patients, people with weight gain. I think aging effect is coming up too early with people. The ones in 40s are already behaving like they already entered 60s, right? So I'm sure, as I speak about all of this, all of us are connecting that, okay, yeah, man, I'm so old, but I'm feeling much, much older. Okay, so these things can be corrected with protein correction. Very important. So that's point number one. Second, yes, I also would want to bring everyone's attention towards carb eating. Okay, carb eating is basically where, if we just observe, go back to the entire day, how do you guys actually eat food? Is there a thought behind it? Is there and diet is never about starvation, or leaving certain food that you've been consuming since childhood. It is all about playing, or using food in a given quantity. It is as simple as that. So most people, when they are around me and they'll watch my food plate, that let us see what she eats as a dietitian. So I'm always under scrutiny, and that's where they will always watch that she's been taking everything from the buffet. Okay, and then they question me that you're a dietitian, how come you're having this? Say I'm serving myself rice, and then I tell them that, look at the quantity in your plate and look at the quantity in my plate. So it's about eating everything that you have been eating since childhood. Okay, very important. So during weight loss, there is no real need of leaving your carb foods. For example, rice, or the chapatis that we have, or we tend to have some baked bread. So some communities have bread also as a part of their meal. It's all about playing with food as in quantity.
Is there any some sort
No,
of a thumb rule
no.
where you can approximately in your mind say, okay, if I need to have, say, 45 grams of protein in a day, how do I really measure if I've been able to do that or no?
So quantities, what happens is, when a diet chart is structured, we often write the grams over there. So I've seen many of them, they write the grams. And how is an individual going to identify that? We can't weigh and eat each day. It would not be practical. However, yes, giving the quantity with respect to a standard, like we all have 100 grams bowl at home, correct? We all do have a medium size. Now, 100 grams, coming to the next word, we do have the medium size bowls at home. Okay, one is a small bowl, there's a medium bowl, and there is a larger bowl, right? So all our quantities ideally should be measured in this 100-gram bowl.
Mm.
because most of the instructions come as per the 100 grams bowl. So in common terms, one may use language like small, medium, and large. However, like I said, that quantity, and we should not drastically drop it. Okay.
Mm.
So say if each time you're used to have a big bowl of something, which is ideally not a great recommendation for your said whole health. Okay. So over here, you have to come down gradually in the quantity. That's another way to handle this, concern, rather than from there, if I tell you, okay, from tomorrow, you're just having a small bowl of whatever you're having. Practically not possible because the mind is never happy then. They feel
Mm.
suddenly
Right.
something is gone off. And
Yeah.
this is a very small quantity. Now, from a big quantity, now there are people who are portion eaters also. So from being portion eaters to come down to something which is a small quantity from a big quantity, very difficult. Okay, that's where you have to come from a larger quantity, come down a little and a little. So from a 4 come to 3, come to 2, come to 1. Give yourself time. There are many people who come up at the beginning itself and they are so excited and they're like, ma'am, I need to do something very fast. It's 1 month and I'm getting married and I need to lose 10 kgs. Okay. And I'm like, wow, happy realization. You just realized it 1 month earlier. Right. Now that is a time span where, people try to jump into many things,
Mm.
and therefore they bounce back also very quick because suddenly you left something from your food world. Okay, now that is why you got to taper your system, go step by step, never be mad behind seeing that number on the scale going down. Okay,
Mm.
we go step by step is something that I want to tell people. Again, one, as I said, protein intake. Two is the carbohydrate food. We got to go step by step. Now, say if we have reduced the carbs from your plate, are you going to stay hungry then? Right?
Mm.
So how do we replace it? Okay, that's a very big question I want to answer today.
Mm.
Replacement of the food that you're trying to omit. So for example, if we often hear avoid potatoes, it's starchy, avoid yam, it's starchy, avoid rice, it's starchy. Yes, we all know white rice to brown rice, but again, is it practical to consume? The answer is again no. People find it very difficult to follow all these things, correct? Now in this particular situation, what becomes essential is how to fill it up. Now people also forget that there is so much more food to eat. Okay, we have the whole big world of veggies. Okay, protein foods like pulses, all of those sprouts that we consume, milk and milk products. So we consume yogurt, we consume cottage cheese, we consume plain curd, so many things. Yeah, so we forget all those items. So we got to make sure that if I have reduced, say, one chapati from my diet, or every time I used to take 1.5 bowl of rice, but now I've come to 1 bowl. So go gradual. That is my first instruction. Second is, now if you have replaced, so you have to replace something. Okay, one is going gone lower, you have to increase on the other. Please replace it with fiber content. So everything to do with your cooked vegetables and salads. Okay, and secondly, the protein intake. Right. So your protein food, please do not compromise on that. Come what may.
Is intermittent fasting good? So this is from Arusha Wali. Arushi Wali.
Very important. Okay, I believe it's something, and I've got brilliant results when it comes to weight loss just because of the sequence of eating. So I want to tell people about a sequence that they can always start eating. What we generally do is, uh, the amount of hunger we have, okay, we serve that much amount of carbs, on our plate. So the rice and the chapatis and all of that we take, and the rest of the portions, for example, the vegetables and the pulses or the non-veg, that has been constant amount for years together. Okay, besides, every 10 years of our life, if all of us realize, every 10 years, every decade, our body changes. Okay, try to think about it. Age 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. Did we have a change? Yes. We all can put it up in the comments also. Yes, no. Every 10 years, did your body change? The answer has to be yes, because yes, we do change. Right? right? And as the body changes physically, don't you think our diet should have also changed? Yes, it should have changed, but we never thought about it. All we think about taste, what we are eating since childhood, and whether I like it or I don't like it. So here it becomes very important to make sure that all food groups are taken care of. Okay, coming to the sequence that I was talking about, when you got to lose weight, just make sure you have a glass of fluid as a filler first. It could be a buttermilk, it can be coconut water, it could be simple as green tea.
What is the last meal of the day? What should be typically like?
Dinner, go a little more lower than what you had for lunch.
Speaking of summarizing and the points that you had made about, say, the most important thing that you said was about protein, and the protein should be one of the most important part of the diet. The second point that you said was replacing carbohydrates, or reducing carbohydrates, or reducing the portion size, which should accompany with any of the weight loss, and that should be done slowly, as we move along. And the third thing was replace a carbohydrate with fibers, and have all the food groups on the plate.